We want to talk about the SBL, Spontaneous Breathing Lung, control software. It's a fairly simple application, but we'll run through it and try to answer your questions. At the very top of the screen, we can see that it's Spontaneous Breathing Lung and the version of the software being used. So this is an important thing to be able to note if you require any tech support from Michigan Instruments. Below that you have your settings for spontaneous breathing simulations. In the center of the screen we have our tidal volume, and the range for tidal volume is 100 to 1800 milliliters. The breath rate, which range is 2 to 30 breaths per minute. And the inspiratory time with a range of 0.5 to 5 seconds. Now there are some limitations for the tidal volume depending on the rate that you've set, the inspiratory time, and so forth. As you can imagine, there are certain combinations here which simply would preclude us from being able to hit these maximum tidal volumes. But those are self-limiting, and you'll see that as you try to make those changes. Down below we have the compliance setting, and this is the compliance setting on the test lung. And all the available settings are here, so you select where you've set that compliance, and the airway resistance. And again, the available airway resistors are shown here. This is both for reference purposes and because it does affect, again, the available settings above. To the right of that, we have a trigger button. And the trigger is a function that allows you to simulate a very small effort from a patient. That setting is adjustable here from 25 to 100 milliliters. Okay, and again, this can be operated whether you're in an active running mode or in paused. So the trigger is always available to make small changes, or small breath efforts. Over to the right of that, we have the Peep offset adjustments, arrow up, arrow down. So it's very important that the lifting arm of the SBL be just slightly engaged with the top plate of the lung simulator. That's how you get the most accurate simulation of the tidal volume set here. So these arrows just take the lifting arm up or down in very small increments so that you can, again, just slightly engage the lifting arm on the top plate. The stop button stops communication to the SBL motor so that you can either finish your session or if you have to make any other changes. But up here you also have let me do this again. The ready button, which ready run, obviously an arrow here, that starts your simulation. Then it changes to pause, clicking that will pause the simulation. Again, you can pause that simulation if you want to make changes in your settings for spontaneous breathing. If you wanted to make changes in your compliance or your resistance, you would pause your simulation, make your changes, and hit run again. Down below in the lower half of the screen, you have 3 tabs: Setup, Monitor, and Config. Setup shows you the theoretical performance based on your settings above. So if you have a sine wave, you'll see a sine wave for flow. If you have a square, you should see a constant flow wave. And then it also shows your volume, where your volume is set at. Monitor shows the actual performance in real time. So this is looking at both your tidal volume and your intralung pressure. And over here, the config is basically configuring a device for communication. So if for some reason you're not communicating from your PC to the SBL module, you may need to change the comm setting. All right? Often people will stay in the monitor so they can see in real time what's happening. So again, from this point, it really is just pausing, making changes, running. People have asked, can we change this can we change the scaling on this monitor? You can, and those instructions are come with the device. So that's a basic introduction to the SBL control software, and I hope it gives you a little information and helps you to move forward with successfully using your SBL. Thanks for your time.